Hello, everyone. Welcome to a office hours that we've had on the books for some time. So it's great to see a lot of people here signed up, ready to get started. So today we are doing a little bit different than our previous office hours. This one's going to be slightly more interactive, and we are going to um, do a demo. I have Rafe here. We're going to show off our latest feature coming soon to a ReadMe project near you very soon, custom components, and we are going to build some dynamic docs with MDX today. So I'm Ray. If you've joined a previous office hours, you may notice me and my background. It's funny that I do this countdown of Albert in the snow because I am in very sunny Oakland, California. It's like 65 degrees today. And I am on the marketing team, focused on product marketing. Rafe, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, if I can get to my mute button. Hi, everyone. I'm Rafe. I am a front-end engineer, well, ex-front-end engineer, current engineering manager. Uh, been at ReadMe for a while, and I will say this is a very exciting demo for us. I'm amped to do it.
Yes, please respond with your enthusiasm, questions. We have a lot of people here from the ReadMe team today. We've got Carla and Jesse from our support team. We also have Davin, Kelly, and Kevin all on the team who worked on building this MDX component. So as you are watching the demo, please respond using the chat with questions, and we will do a combination of answering questions throughout as well as doing a formal Q&A. As always, we are recording this session. As I mentioned, please drop your questions, comments, enthusiasm. We're here for all of it in the chat. We will do a formal Q&A at the end, but if it's something that you're like, hey, can you repeat that? We'll make sure to see it and flag it during the session, as well as if you have questions throughout. We have lots of people here to answer. And then we will be sending an email. It might not be directly after this because we want to include a few special things for today. So in addition to getting a link to the recording, you'll also get access to new docs that go over the new custom component and how to walk through that. As well as for those of you that are on the refactored experience, you will see this feature in your project dashboards. So you will have a chance to play around, build the button that Rafe is working on, and yeah, try building custom reusable components for yourself. So ReadMe Refactored, what I have mentioned, is our biggest product launch since ReadMe launched on Product Hunt over 10 years ago. And it touches almost every single aspect of our entire product experience, and has been many months in the making. So at a high level, it includes our new editing UI, which brings all docs editing to your live hub, allowing you to make edits directly in your docs and easily preview content and appearance changes before they go live. We've talked a lot about MDX already in the 6 minutes that we've been live, but we've also migrated our entire editor from Markdown to MDX. MDX combines the simplicity of Markdown with JSX, providing content creators and developers alike with a familiar syntax to create dynamic and interactive documentation. Very soon, ReadMe admins like you will be able to create and use these reusable MDX components, and that's what Rafe's here to demo today. And then we've also pre-built 5 MDX components that are already live in the new experience, and we'll go over those in just a second. A very highly requested customer feature, you can now connect with GitHub to sync your docs bidirectionally so that anytime a change is made in either README or GitHub, it saves and automatically updates in both places. We do have an office hours next Thursday, March 6th, to go over setting up bidirectional sync for your project, as well as doing a deeper dive on the new editing UI. So definitely check that out if you're interested. I believe we will be popping a link to sign up for that in the chat. We also upgraded our search experience, so it's now faster and yields better search results. And the API Designer is our refreshed manual editor, enabling you to edit your API spec files directly in README or GitHub. This launched at the beginning of January, and you'll see it now in your API reference section. If you're interested in going deeper into that, if you're a previous manual editor user, if you're curious what the API designer is, we have a office hours a week from the following one. So March 13th, about 2 weeks from today, Thursday, March 13th at 10 a.m., specifically going over the API designer. And then finally, we've unified your docs and my developers, with my developers now living in the top nav of your docs, making it easier to quickly see who's using your API and how things are performing. Okay, so let's jump into, you got a preview of that one, this project. So many of you are already familiar with experience if you've upgraded your project. Feel free to use the chat to let us know if you've upgraded, if you haven't, if you have questions. And if you haven't yet, you can see a project on the new experience here. So in the interest of time, and because we want to make sure we have plenty of time for Rafe's demo, as well as Q&A, I'm not going to do a full overview of the editing UI right now. But again, if you'd like to learn more about it, we have those office hours on Thursday, March 6th. But I do want to take a moment to jump over to the content settings so that you can see this new page. Hey, look at this, custom components. So this is a brand new page. As I mentioned, for those of you who are on the new experience and are attending this office hours, you will see this page in your ReadMe project ahead. So you'll get exclusive access, VIP, ReadMe. And Rafe will talk in more detail with it. But just so you know, this is the new place to build and edit your custom MDX components. Let's also take a look at some of the pre-built ones. So this, if you have seen this already, this is cards. This launched when we launched ReadMe Refactored. As you can see, when I go into edit mode, you can see this syntax. The nice thing about this is that when you drop an MDX component into your project, it automatically populates. So you kind of have the infrastructure to build, and then you can change whether it's the title or the link. You can add an icon. We can take a look at some other ones if we go back to view mode. So down here, we have tabs. If we go over to this, we also have an accordion. And then you can also, I believe it's here, let's find, and then this is Mermaid JS. And just to go over editing or adding them, I would go into the edit. I can, let's say, add this. I can use backslash menu. So I have accordion, cards, columns, and tabs all here. And then Mermaid JS is here. There are docs for all of these in our new refactored section of our docs at docs.readme.com. You can also pop a link in the chat. But I am going to now turn it over to Rafe.
So let's go ahead and get started. So here we are, like Ray said. Oh, let me just move Zoom out of my way. That's bug me all day long. Okay. Oh my gosh, so much UI. Okay, so here we are in this project, and like Ray was mentioning, we are going to build a little button component to start out with. And for a while now, Ray has mentioned in the refactored experience, the new editor has run on MDX, and you have had the ability, for example, up here to use JSX syntax to add interactivity to your docs. So you could write export const my variable equals, whatever, hello. And then elsewhere in the doc, you can actually use that using JSX syntax. So like here, you could say my variable. And if we save this out and view it, you can see there it's added hello at the end of there. And you could honestly take this and build full React components here, and that would work. But the problem with that is it's not very reusable because you'd have to copy and paste it from this page to any other page you want to use it on. So what we're bringing to the refactored experience starting for this group today and later in the month for the full ReadMe audience is a in-app user interface for creating and editing custom components. And as Ray was showing, that lives up here, which is very similar to your reusable content. But if we click over into here, you'll see, so someone has created a couple of components here, but essentially it looks very similar. And we have this nice screen. We'll talk a little bit about the marketplace at the end, but for now, let's jump in and create a new component. So you can see here when I create one, I get this example, and there's actually some interesting stuff in this example here. So write MDX to render interactive content. We'll look at that in a second. Style elements with Tailwind CSS. So in an attempt to make it really easy to scaffold out these components, both for your developer team, but also for, documentation managers and authors in the UI, you can use Tailwind's classes to really quickly and easily add shadows, borders, set up, display modes, pretty much anything Tailwind can do, you can do in here. And so if we just jump in here, let's name this, but sorry, I got to turn off an extension here. Okay, here. And look, I've already run into an error because I screwed something up, but let's call this our button component. All right. And here, let's just say we have this export, which is just standard JSX, and we're just going to call it button. And in here, we'll just take children. And we're going to come down here and we'll delete our example component. So now we're still seeing this error because we've renamed the const to button, but we're still using example component here. So we'll need to change that. Doop, doop, and probably not screw up the HTML, Rafe. So, okay, so there. So now we fixed this preview, but it's still not showing anything. That's probably because we're not actually rendering any text. So look at that, it says hello. And that's pretty cool, but let's take this and actually turn it into what we say it's going to be. Hello. Hey, look at that. So before we go any further, let's see what it looks like to actually use this in a page. So now we have this button. It says hello, and we have created it. And if we save it out here, we should then over here in our edit mode, let's just get rid of this and say here, button, and save that out. So you can see it understands it to be JSX, obviously some jumpiness there. We'll polish that off. And if we open this up in view mode, whoops, I command clicked. If we open this up in view mode, hey, look, it's a little button and it says hello. But once again, this is hard-coded, not particularly useful. What we'd like is a button where we can customize the text on any page. So maybe on interactive tours, it says, join us for a walking tour. And maybe on Spanish tours, it says, well, I don't speak Spanish, so I'm not even going to try. But, you get the idea. So let's actually make that change. So the way that would look here is if we wanted to say, like, take a hike. So this one should be customized to say, take a hike. And we'll save that out. And obviously now if we go to view and we, refresh this page, it still says hello. So we have to actually go into our custom component and update the definition of it here so that instead of being hard coded to hello, it can actually render these the children content that we're passing into the component. So we can here, again, using JSX syntax to access that, we can say button should display whatever's passed in as children. And again, if we look at our doc, that would be the take a hike language. So now here, if we refresh this, hey, look at that. It says take a hike. Pretty cool. Now you can use this button anywhere. You can pass it custom content that's specific to your page that you're working on. And obviously, this is a very contrived example. You can build much more complicated things with JSX and React using state variables and all the different goodies that you're used to as a front-end developer. One thing I'm noticing is that this button looks boring as hell. So let's maybe add some styling, which gives us an opportunity to chat about the kind of sleeper feature that we're introducing with alongside MDX, which is Tailwind support for custom components, meaning that you can use any Tailwind class here to style your components really quickly, and it makes it quite easy to scaffold things out. So here, let's give this button a class name, and we'll just say we want it to be rounded. And I have looked all these classes up in advance, but I will say we link out to the Tailwind CSS docs here, and they're very useful. But let's make it rounded, and let's give it a border of 0, because otherwise the default styles will take place. We'll give it some padding on the x-axis and some padding on the y-axis, as well as let's stick with our ReadMe theme here and give it or vaguely ReadMe theme, and give it a background of blue and a text. What is it? Text color? No, just text white. And down here, I'm actually, just for the sake of this preview, we do have this like extra little like area that we can use to actually preview how this would work. And let's just say here, click me. And so, so here's an interesting thing you might notice. You see this weird extra spacing here. Anything in here is actually parsed and rendered as Markdown, which you can see if I add some like Markdown syntax, this will actually make it bold. You can add links. That's really cool. As you pass content into your custom components, you can get really rich text experiences wrapped in your component, which makes them very, very powerful. For now, obviously, we do not want a paragraph with extra margin in this button. So the way to fix things like that is just to keep these written as inline things, and that looks better. So now, if we update this and we go back to our view and just refresh, hey, look at that. It says take a hike, and it's blue and rounded and pretty. There are a couple other things I want to show off here really quickly, just for any like more seasoned React front-end developers. This whole area takes props and children just as anything, so we can actually destructure out the rest of these props and pass them onto this button. Whoops, props. And should work exactly the same way. We shouldn't see any changes, but now, since we're spreading them here, we can do one more cool thing, which is like up here, the way we added that variable before, we can do export const handle click equals alert. Hey, read me friends. Whoops, Rafe, learn how to write JavaScript. So this is just a little function that's going to pop open an alert modal that says hello to all of us here. And we'll just attach it to our button by saying on click equals and handle click. And it will tell us to take a hike. So if we save that, we go back to the view, and again, I have to refresh here. We click this. Hello, ReadMe friends. So MDX, this is a very basic, very contrived example. Um, you can do a lot more. We've seen people write slider galleries for photos in our internal testing, read time little like automatic counter that just like looks, scans your doc, tells you how long it'll take to read. We have plans to introduce integrations with third parties like PagerDuty and status page to show the state of your API, et cetera, et cetera. And then finally, you'll also notice here on our new page that there's this browse marketplace link. And our plan is to take the components we're working on internally and put them there for anyone who wants to use them. And we also hope that all of our users, if they come up with cool custom components, will join us in building them over in that marketplace and submitting them to us and sharing them with the rest of the README community. But other than that, I think that's my demo done. And Ray, I'll turn it back to you to manage the whole question and answer part of this thing.
So yes, as Rafe has alluded to, this is not live yet. We are still doing some final polish, but we wanted to make sure that all of you who registered for this office hours today had the chance to build what Rafe just demoed, had the chance to play around, to give us feedback. So if you were on the new refactored experience, we are going to enable this new feature. And so by the time you receive the email with the recording, you will have access to the new custom components page located in the content section. If your project isn't yet eligible to upgrade, but you want to try this out, and that's either because maybe you're an enterprise customer and you want us to create a sandbox project, or you are using some functionality that we're still working on, definitely reach out to us. We can figure out a solution. We can create a new project for you so that you can try this custom component, because we definitely want all of you to play around. Caveat here, it is pretty technical. I think this is something that you probably noticed. So we are releasing new docs. We are going to include things for Tailwind support. But yes, if you don't have a basic knowledge of JSX and React, it might be a little bit more challenging, but definitely let us know, because we also want to provide docs that help and support everyone to at least play around. And yes, with the marketplace, people like me will just be copying and pasting and being like, wow, look, there's now sparkles in my README project. As I mentioned, this doc is live now, so you can get a kind of overview on building custom MDX docs. And then we also have this whole section for our README refactor.